Today we're going to be doing a workout for a full body workout. We're going to start with the muscles in the arms, working that bicep, tricep, and some of that deltoid, that shoulder muscle. And then we'll move to some legs and then finish out with doing core and shoulder health secondary muscles. So if that sounds good to you, go ahead and hit that like button for me to join me on this fitness journey where we're working and building muscle together. If you have any questions, let me know in the chat. Or if you're just here to hang out and talk, well, so we're gonna start right away with a warm-up using dumbbells. So for a warm-up, I like to do a specific warm-up for the exercises we're gonna do by use a lighter dumbbell. That's lets your muscle acclimate to the exercise, gets blood flow into the muscles that we're going to be working. So we're gonna be working on the bicep and the triceps first. So I like to do these in exercise pairs called supersets because I find it helps get through a workout more efficient. So the first exercise we're going to do is for the bicep, the muscle in the front of your arm. This is called a wall curl. Now, I like the wall curl because it eliminates cheating or swinging motions from your hips where you're not doing like this, where you're using actually these large hip muscles instead of these arm muscles to carry out the movement. You lean with your back flat against the wall, head and hips pressed against that wall. From here, bring your elbows into your sides so your hands are out in front of you. That puts tension on the bicep in this front position. That's gonna really elevate this movement or add to how effective it is. So from here, bring your hands up to the front of your shoulder. Now this is a warm-up, so I'm not looking for this to be really strenuous yet. I'm gonna do 10 reps of this just to get some blood flow into the muscle and then move to a heavier dumbbell. If it's tiring at this point, you're going too heavy too quickly. And relax. Should just feel like that's warming up the muscle, getting it ready to go. The next exercise we're gonna do is an overhead press. Now I really like this one because since I have incorporated it into my workout, I feel like I'm getting more muscle up here in the top of my shoulder as well as bigger arms. So I really like this one because it hits a couple different muscles all at once. So you're working that entire top of your shoulder and the back of your arm and your tricep back in here. So you're gonna start with the dumbbells wide. You don't wanna have them narrow by your neck. You wanna have them wide out here by your shoulders and push your chest up so your back stays straight. So I'm not rounding forward. I'm keeping that chest up and out. From here, you're gonna push up towards the ceiling. Now I wanna keep my hands right over the top of my shoulders. I don't want to let them come in. I'm going to keep them out wide, out to the side. And that keeps that tension on the shoulder the whole time. I'm doing about 10 reps of these, just getting some blood flow into my shoulders. Now I want to go all the way back down to tap my shoulders, because that's where I really get that high tension, that muscle building effect. I'm gonna move to a heavier dumbbell, but I wanna talk a little bit about what our goal is for this. So on any exercise we're doing, we don't wanna go all the way to what's called muscle failure, where you couldn't lift up the weight again. So we wanna aim for 1 or 2 reps away from that point. So I want you to go find a weight or pick a weight that you can do about 10 reps with. 10, you should maybe be able to do 11 or 12 at most, and that's where we want to stop. That's called 2 reps in reserve, or 2 RIR is the other term for it. And that's turns out to be more effective long-term for building muscle. What the current studies are showing, that's actually a more effective place to be, is that sort of 90. I used to go all out 100% every time. I found, for me personally, just as my own story, I would get injured more, I would be sore more, I would not grow as fast. So it's supported by science and experience, really. So if you're looking to grow muscle as fast as you can, That's what I'd recommend, is being a little bit less extreme. It's funny, but sometimes discipline is actually doing less rather than doing more. I know for me, I tended to go really extreme in anything I did. So whether it's working out or dieting, that was a big thing for me, is I would go so extreme in my dieting. I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna cut out 1,000 calories, which I did, because I was really disciplined. I was really, or I could really controlled in my eating. But the problem is that's so little calories, it was too much, where I would have to rebound. And in rebounding from that, I would gain a lot of weight. So I would lose a little, but then gain a lot more, and then lose a little and then gain back more, because I was too extreme in my approach. Instead of going trying to go down to 1,000 calories down in deficit, I do a much more moderate 500 calories per day when I'm cutting weight, trying to lose weight. And that way I don't have the kickback of trying to lose too fast and then actually ending up gaining weight over time, because my body can't handle that weight loss. So being diligent and disciplined sometimes means that you go a little bit slower, a little less extreme. I heard a great definition of discipline, that discipline is how long can you do something that you don't want to do. I think I heard it from Alex Hormozy on a podcast, but I really like it how he said it, where for me, being disciplined is actually going slow. I don't want to go slow, I want to go fast and extreme. But being disciplined is actually slowing down, taking the time, doing it right, losing weight at a moderate pace rather than trying to go for a fast pace. And that's what actually helps me get there in time. Same thing with lifting weights. Instead of going extreme, lifting all the way up to failure where I'm completely tired out, going a little bit less than that gets more benefit over time, where instead of going really hard and then crashing, having to miss workouts because I'm still so sore and might be injured. I actually was working, when I was training for my black belt in Taekwondo, I trained so hard that I actually pulled apart my knee. The bone actually tore apart because I was training so hard. I had to be off of that knee for 4 months. Yeah, I think it was about 4 months for it to completely heal. So I had to come back and start training from the not from the beginning, but regain that strength, regain that power in my legs to retrain for black belt. So I had to learn early that was not a good idea to go that extreme. Honestly, that's a hard lesson to learn. It took me a long time to actually really take that to heart. And some days I still struggle with that, to be honest. While I'm trying to build up muscle, my weight goes up on the scale. I really want to start cutting weight again. So I want to be thin and have a good physique, but I have to trust the process and take it slow, be less extreme. And going for our second set of overhead press. Now I'm trying to shoot for at least 3 sets. If I can get to 4 sets, I'd like that though, because the more sets I can fit in of a workout or of an exercise, the faster that muscle can grow. So going up to the top of the shoulder, and from here, keeping my hands wide, pressing up towards the ceiling. I should feel this in the top of my shoulder and back of my arm. Now I'm aiming for about 10 reps. Should feel tired by the end. That should feel that burning feeling in the muscle. Now, if you're picking out a weight, don't worry about how it looks. No one's actually paying attention in the gym to what you're lifting. As long as you're finding a weight that works well for you, that's the important thing. Don't worry about what anyone else thinks of that, because the only thing that matters is how does that feel in your muscle. Are you challenging the muscle a little bit? And then if that's the case, that's great. That's all you need to worry about. A lot of people think that people are watching them in the gym much more than they actually are. No one's really worried about the fact that you're lifting 20 pounds versus 30 pounds versus 40. People might be watching out for you just because they want to make sure everyone's safe in the gym. And so if people are looking at you, they might be just making sure that you're doing okay. Don't worry about it. Honestly, if they're judging you, they're probably, then their opinion of you doesn't really matter, because people like that, there's no pleasing anyway. So don't even worry about what weight you're lifting, just that it's challenging for you. It's the important part. A lot of people get caught up with wanting to go really heavy, really fast, and that's a great way to get injured, and I would never want that for you. So pick a weight that's challenging, but shouldn't be tiring at the very first rep. It'd be tiring by about the 10th rep. Say around 8 reps, should feel that burning feeling in the muscle where you're working hard. Number 3, we're trying for 4 sets if we can, but at least 3 sets. Head and hips flat against the wall, doing a wall curl, pulling up towards the front. Really keep those elbows right against your rib cage. 7, 8, all the way out to straight. 9 and 10. The most important part is going all the way back down where your elbow is straight. You don't want to come back down to just here where you've got still a bend in your elbow. You want to go all the way to where you're extending that muscle, all the way out. You don't have to completely lock it, but you want that length in that bicep, because that's not only going to help the muscle grow, it's also taking through that full range of motion, where if you only do a partial range up here, you're actually potentially increasing your risk of injury in the muscle, because it's not getting that full stretch, full contraction where it can handle those sorts of forces. So it's much better to do a full range, especially that bottom part of the range of motion, to really build up that entire muscle length. A lot of people don't know that when you do an exercise, it's not your entire muscle that's working. As you do the exercise, different parts of the muscle fire at, excuse me, I accidentally hit a button on my watch. There we go. As you are doing an exercise, different parts of the muscle contract at different points in the movement. So from here to here might be a different part of my triceps than here to here. I'm gonna try and do that full range of motion all the way up and all the way down, because that's where I'm gonna hit a more full-bodied part of that muscle. So I'm working the entire length of that muscle instead of just one small part. 9 and 10. Exercise physiology, we call those motor units, where imagine a lot of little pieces, like a lot of little motors that muscle's built out of. So it doesn't all fire at once. It does like 1, 2, and 3. So say I'm doing an exercise like this. So it's 1, 2, and 3, then 3, 4, and 5, then 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. So it's not exactly along the muscle like that, but the muscle cells all work together at different parts of the movement. Very rare that the entire muscle pushes all at once. That's only in a more of a 1 rep max situation. If you ever hear those stories about parents lifting a car off of their kid, that's usually when the entire muscle is contracting all at once. And really your body doesn't want to do that because it's trying to protect itself from anything tearing or breaking. So your muscle fibers usually don't all fire at once. And just take a moment, so I can still feel my muscles a little bit shaky. So just taking a minute between sets. I like to go one to the next. That's why I pair things in supersets. So as I'm working one side of the muscle, the other side's resting and vice versa. Sometimes you do need a little bit more time to let that muscle recover. I can still feel my arms a little bit shaky as I'm standing here. So I'm gonna let that recover a little and let my heart rate drop back down just a little bit. So 4th set, doing that bicep wall curl. Then we'll go into some leg exercises. So elbows tucked in at your side. The more you do a particular exercise, so the more I'm doing for like this wall curl, the faster my bicep is gonna grow. One set is good, multiple sets is better though. As far as we can tell, there's not a maximum level to that. Some people have hypothesized that there's eventually something called junk volume, where you're doing so much volume or so many sets that it stops being effective. It's unclear exactly how many sets that is. Usually, a number is pretty high. And 10. That's probably a little closer to muscle failure than I wanted to get. You have a half to 1 rep left. That's pretty close to muscle failure. Probably shouldn't have gone quite that close. It's okay because that's my last set and I have a full weekend of 2 days to recover from that exercise. So my goal is to try and build up muscle right now. So I'm eating about 250 extra calories over how much I need to maintain my current weight. So I'm building up about half a pound of weight per week. I like that because it's what's called a really lean bulk. So I'm not putting on a ton of extra fat, maybe a little extra fat, but trying to really maximize the amount of muscle I'm building up. That's something that's actually hard for me to do. I don't actually like eating that much, which I know that might not be a very common thing. It's much more, I eat because I know I have to, not because I am really worried about feeling hungry. It's been a struggle actually for me is I don't really feel hungry that much. So I have to more intellectually figure out how much I need to eat, and that has been a problem in the past because it's hard for me to estimate. So I'd either undereat or overeat a lot. What I found works especially well for me is I bought a food scale pretty recently, probably, I don't remember exactly, but probably within a year or two ago. And I weigh everything and log everything in. I use the Fitbit app to log all my food calories. I found that works really effectively for me to manage how much I'm eating and making sure I stay stable on that. Because you need food for fueling your workouts, for just living your life. I had one time where I actually almost passed out in a meeting because I was too low in calories, and that's not good. So there's two sides to it, where you can eat too little, where your body doesn't have the energy it needs to work and to do what you need it to, or you can eat too much where you have so much extra energy, your body has to store it in fat cells or in your liver. Both of those are not what we want. So that's why I really like tracking everything, because it helps keep that balance in my body. And that's why I found has worked really well for me, is just keep logging everything I eat, because I can't trust my hunger signal. So now we're gonna go to some leg exercises. We did a lot of arm exercises. Now we're gonna do some leg exercises. So the first one is going to be a weighted squat. Now I like to do high rep squats rather than high weight squats, because I found that my low back does not do well with high weight squats, but I can still get a very effective leg workout by doing high rep squat. I stand with my feet about shoulder width apart and my back straight. I'm trying to keep my chest pointed straight towards the wall in front of me. From here, I'm gonna bend my knees like I'm sitting down on a really low stool and keeping my chest up though. So I'm really bending at the knees, trying to look up towards the front. My hands can go a little wide so they miss my knee. I'm keeping my back as straight as I can. And I'm gonna just go until I feel that burning in the front of my thigh. Now, if you're liking this content and wanna see more, if you wanna be here live for the workout, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified when we go live. I go live on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. I do all of my workouts live on stream. So what you see is what I'm doing to get the results that I want. I'm working at building muscle and trying to have a better physique by 40. Right now I'm in my late 30s. So if you want to join me in that journey, hit that subscribe button and we'll see you there. 3, 2, last one, and relax. So that was doing a weighted squat. I hit a lot of these muscles in the front, the quad muscles. There are actually 4 of them. that run along the front of your thigh. Now we're gonna work the glutes and hamstrings, mostly those glutes back in here though. Now, some people, their glutes will grow by just doing squat. My genetics don't do that. I have to really train hard to get glutes to grow. Now, if you're like me and you have a hard time getting larger glutes, but you want that butt muscle, I found this is a great no equipment exercise for that. So, what you're gonna do is lay on your back with feet about shoulder width apart. So, we're gonna start with our non-dominant leg. So if you're left-handed, start with your left leg. Or start with your right leg. If you're right-handed, start with your left leg. So with your non-dominant leg, you're gonna lift your opposite leg up. So I'm working this leg by pushing down through my heel, pushing my hips up. So pushing down, you should feel that glute muscle tense up, pushing you up towards the front. So I'm really driving down through my heel, pushing my hips up. I'm trying for 10 reps each side. 7, 8, 9, and 10. Should feel that really burning in your glutes. I found for me, this is the first thing that really hit the glutes more than the hamstrings. Are these muscles back in here? I do feel them on this exercise, but I really feel the glutes a lot more. Bringing it to a one leg exercise really challenges those glutes just with body weight. So I'm pushing through the heel, driving my hips forward. 7, 8, and 10. So it should feel really burning back here in those glutes. Now, if you can't do a single leg, but still want to work that exercise, what you can start with is a hip bridge with 2 feet instead, bridging your hips up. You feel those glutes still tense up. That would be a great way to transition. Start with this. Once you get to the point where you're getting to 20, 30 reps, then you can transition into the single leg variation to really elevate that movement. So that's how you progress it from one to the next. I need just a second to let my legs relax. They still feel pretty wobbly. So we're gonna do one more set of each of those exercises. Legs always take out a lot more out of me, but it's probably the most important muscle group to make sure it's strong. It's your legs and your hip. So if your legs aren't strong, your back can go, your upper body goes with it, because as soon as you can't stabilize through your core, it's a lot harder to do a lot of the other exercises we need to do. So I think it's really important maintaining a strong foundation with doing legs. I'm gonna take just one more second. Let my heart rate drop back down a little bit more. I'm waiting for it to drop below 120. It's more likely that I overheat, that I'm just running too hot. Just like I've been saying about being too extreme, I used to just never stop in a workout, never slow down. So I'm like, oh, if I slow down, then I'm losing out. But that's not really true. When I'm slowing down, it's giving my body the time it needs to prepare for the next thing. You don't see Olympic athletes, let's say track and field Olympic athletes, run an event and then immediately just jump into another event right after when they're doing a maximal effort. Same thing here. We don't just jump right into the next thing just because we feel like we have to get it done. We give our body time to recover, and then we do it right, where we have good technique and are able to really challenge the muscle, not our heart and lung. Like I said, I'm still working on that sometimes. Sometimes I do just go one thing to the next a little bit too fast, but I find going a little slower, treating it more like a marathon than a sprint. Bending the knees, keeping the chest up, going down towards the ground and back up. You should feel this burning in the top of your thighs, right up here. I'm going until I feel that burn in the legs. You could do this with heavier dumbbells. I find though, because I have a very long torso, this puts a lot more stress on my low back if I do heavier dumbbells. I don't want stress on my low back. I want stress on my knees and my legs, these muscles in here. I find going higher reps builds that muscle without compromising my low back. Even though I'm keeping my back straight, have good technique, those are smaller muscles that control that for your low back. Erector spinae muscles are smaller than your quads, and they have to hold your entire spine. So it's better to go lighter weight and really add to those reps. I found going high reps is what really helps me target much more of my legs. So if you're working out with me and like this content and want to see more, hit that like button for me to let me know you want more content like this. We're working full body movements with the dumbbells at home. Now, if you ever have questions about how to do different exercises, or say you don't have the same equipment I do, love to help out. A guy last time that was going off to college had no gym at the college, so we talked about how he could use a backpack instead of a dumbbell to build up the muscles in his arms, doing things. He was worried about not having access to cable curls anymore. There's always options. Now, if you want something like what I have, I do have affiliate links down below that help support the channel, but that's not required. Just you being here, trying to work out the best you can is all I have. That's what I want out of this. I want you to be happy and healthy. So, for instance, this exercise, you don't even need equipment. You can do it with just body weight. Doing a single leg bridge, we're gonna start by bringing up our dominant leg. We're starting with our non-dominant side. From here, you're gonna push down through your heel, bridging your hips up towards the front, feeling that in the back of your glutes, this butt muscle right here. And for 10 reps each side, 9 and 10. Same thing on the other side. Left leg up, right leg down, pushing down, feeling this on your right glute. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I like to shoot for 10 reps. You don't have to go exactly to 10. I just like to shoot for 10 because it's a good balance of strength and endurance. As long as you are getting at least 5 reps, excuse me, 5 reps or more, it's totally fine. Both are equally effective for growing muscle as long as you are challenging the muscle. So if you've got that burning feeling in your muscle, if you feel like there's tension in the muscle doing the exercise, you're still gonna promote growth in that muscle. Whether you're doing 5 reps or 30 reps, it's just finding that number that works well for you, that feels good in your joints. Some people work better with heavier weights, some people better with lighter weights. Like me with the squat, I found for me, lighter weights or high reps are more effective, but you have to find what works well for you. All right, now we're gonna do a sit-up, but we're gonna do it with an exercise ball. The thing I like about this is that this actually helps support your back as you're doing the sit-up. The other thing is, the exercise ball lets me go full range of motion with the sit-up. If I was on the ground, I could only go flat. The exercise ball, I can actually go into extension and get that full range of motion for the muscle. Remember how I talked about muscle grows most in a lengthened position? Going all the way from here up gives me that greater range of motion. I'm going up towards the front and then back all the way to where my head touches the ball. So I'm trying for 10 reps of this. Now, if you don't have an exercise ball like this, you could do this on the ground. I just find that you get a little bit more range of motion where it's a little bit more out of each rep. So I'm really trying to fold my rib cage over the top where I'm not lifting as from the hips. I'm lifting, trying to bring my rib cage into my belly button. You should feel that working all along here in that what's called the rectus abdominis muscle. It's the 6-pack muscle that works doing this. A lot of people work their hip muscles. They think they're working their abs, but they're actually just working their hips. This muscle called psoas. It's actually 2 muscles that run deep into the hip right here, and they attach at your spine, so they can pull you up like this. If I'm bringing my rib cage up, where I'm trying to fold my rib cage up like this, then that's where those ab muscles are actually going to really engage. So I really like this exercise with the ball for that. Back when I used to do sit-ups, I'd always feel tired in the front of my hips until I started doing that folding motion to get more of the ab. You can try it out just laying on the ground, trying to bring your rib cage up. So I'm trying to think about you have one plate going like this, so one stays flat and one folds over the top. All right, next thing we're gonna do is a face pull. Now, or a shoulder W. What I like to do is doing this without a weight bench, because I know a lot of people don't have one. You could do this laying on your stomach on a bench, but what I like to do instead is back leaned against a wall, leaning towards the front, letting my arms hang. So that your back stays straight, the wall's there for support. From here, I'm gonna pull my hands up to my ear. So I'm making a W shape. See how my arms are kind of a W with my head? I'm pulling it up past my ears like this, trying to twist up towards the front. Now this is gonna work the muscles in the back of your shoulder, those rotator cuff muscles that support your shoulder. So I like to include this every so often to make sure I'm keeping strong in those shoulder muscles. You could do this every time you do an upper body workout. Some days I don't get it in, but I like to do it semi-regularly to make sure I'm maintaining those muscles in my rotator cuff. Now, a light dumbbell is gonna give you a lot for this exercise. They're not very large muscles. I'm trying to bring my hands up above my elbows. So, you might even do this without a dumbbell at the start, just to get the motion down. I'll show you how I would do that. So just letting your hands hang, getting the movement down, pinching your shoulder blades together. My hands want to come up like this. So I'm bringing them up above my elbow into what's called external rotation of the shoulder. So I'm working those overhead muscles that help stabilize that shoulder joint. And one more set of crunches or sit-ups. I should say sit-ups, and one more set of face pulls, and we'll call it a day. So if you're liking this workout and want to see more, host them on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. So I'm going from a fully extended position. I'm gonna bring my rib cage folded over towards my belly button. Thinking about if I had an arrow pointed out the front of my chest, I want to try and point it towards my belly button. You can even put your hands like this and point down as much as you can. Put them right at the bottom of your rib cage. Think about trying to really tip them down towards your belly button. Getting the ball really adds that extra extension to those abdominals, where you really have that muscle building effect. All right, last set. Finishing out with a rotator cuff exercise. Flat against the wall so you're supported. Leaning towards the front with your back straight. Pulling up to your ears. So if you made it to this point in the workout, congratulations, I'm proud of you. Worked out hard, so have a good weekend. I'll see you guys back here on Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. See you then.